Good morning, developers. If you are new to the channel, my name is Rob and it is JavaScript Tuesday, and I want to give you 5 fantastic ways to write promises the right way in 2024-25. If you are new to promises, this is the wrong video. I'm not going to cover in detail how and why they work. I will drop a link in the description that will go over all of that. But if you're not new, at least have some notion of how they work. Let me show you some great additions since they came out in 2015. The first one, use async and await. Now, please don't abandon the video if you already use this all the time. The reason it is first is because there'll be people who aren't familiar with it, and it is that important. Skip to the next chapter and grab the next one. But again, async and await are so critical because when promises came out in 2015, they gave us a control flow. They helped us understand, okay, JavaScript thinks like this, or it operates with the event loop, which is totally asynchronous. We need some way to rein in the chaos, but it didn't really help us write our code that much better. At least I did not think so. So what async and await allow us to do are, 1, let JavaScript be JavaScript and let humans write human code. I want to be able to write code in a way that makes sense to me. I want to say thing A happens and then thing B happens. This is historically how it would have worked. We'd have a promise and it'll be a new promise, open, close. We have resolve and reject. And inside here, we do some async thing. Okay, I hate doing it this way, but set timeout is the easiest way to simulate an async event. We're going to wait 1 second, and then we are going to resolve done, right? So, got a callback here. All this code needs to finish. How do we wait? Let JavaScript be JavaScript, but wait until we run our next code. We'd have to do this, promise.then. We'd grab data, and then we console.log data, and I'll put a note in here, other stuff that happens after promise resolves. Now, there's nothing wrong with this. This is how it probably is still done by a lot of people. But as I said, this callback is thing 1. Once that's finished, then this callback is thing 2. And that just looks weird. That's why lots of Java, C#, Python developers, all my friends who did those, they hate JavaScript because this is just so strange. Instead of doing things this way, we can get rid of this line. Because I'm in an async function, I've called run, we're in an async function, I can do this, const data, so just like right here, I can say await promise. So this is far more human, okay? Once this thing is finished, okay, this callback right here, once that's finished, then go on to the next line, in this case line 13, log data. And I've got Node.js here I'm gonna run. Hopping over, running our code, it will wait 1 second, and it logs our message, okay? This is absolutely vital. Again, most people are already going to be here. Promises are part of modern JavaScript. You can't interact with JavaScript anymore without using them. Async and await, I would say, is probably at that same level. The other thing it allows us to do, which I'm even probably or close to as much as excited about, is it eliminates a callback, and I'm going to put in parentheses there a tab, okay? This thing or down here is another callback, and in the old days, what we had was this kind of thing. We had a function, I'm going to call it A, and stuff happened in here, and we had a variable called data, and we had another function that needed to run, but it needed data, and data happened, we'll say came async. And so we'd have another callback in here. Let's say data comes in there, okay? We got a whole bunch more code that needs to happen because it needs data. And then something else happens that gets data too. Right? This code needs data, and a bunch more code again happens. And then we've got some more code that needs data 2 and gets back data 3. This was called callback hell, where you could end up tabbing over 10 times, right? All these callbacks, it's so unreadable, right? Python is elegant because it's easy to see what belongs to what. This is out of control. This was never the intention, but because JavaScript's so callback heavy, Anytime we can eliminate a tab is a big win. Await gives us the ability to get rid of the callback that belongs to then. Okay? If you are rejoining, number 2 is use with resolvers. Okay, one of the things I just mentioned is we can eliminate a callback with resolvers. I use it all the time now. Now, you may not see me use it in videos a lot because it is pretty much brand new. As of the making of this video, it came out in June of 23 and doesn't have fantastic support yet. You will see that in just a second here. Instead of doing this, and I'm going to comment this out, let's comment that out too, drop this in. Once again, this is a normal way to write a promise, but we have a callback, right? I want to get rid of callbacks whenever I can, as long as the code is still legible. This is annoying. What if instead we could do this? Const destructure, grab promise, grab resolve, and grab reject. Where would we get that from? Well, promise.withResolvers is, again, new in ES14 or 2023. I can comment out line 23, which means we don't have this callback. Get rid of all of this. Actually, let's just get rid of that. This part can now be moved back a level. We can do our async thing. We can resolve. Down here, we can have our await. We'll call it data equals await promise, just like we had before, but we did it without one more callback. Okay, so another win. We'll put in there 1, eliminate another callback and a tab. So that is a big win. The other thing that it does is there will be times, if we come back up here, it'll be easier to show you. We've got our promise, and the resolve is scoped to this callback. There will be times when you need to call resolve in some other function or some other place, but you can't, at least not without doing something like this, where you do let res like that, and inside here you'd overwrite res with resolve. Now res is scoped out here, and you can run it somewhere else if you need to. Okay, that's hacky. That's just not good code. It's just the only way that we could do it. We don't have to do it that way anymore because number 2, resolve and reject, are at the same scope as the promise itself. So anytime inside of run here we need to run resolve, you can. Now, something important to note, I'm destructuring this. With resolvers is going to kick back these very specific properties. So if you want to name them something different, you won't be able to destructure it. Just something to be aware of. But we can eliminate another callback, which is a win, and we have the ability to keep resolve and reject at a higher level. Let's drop in a console.log on data and let's see what happens, because as I mentioned a minute ago, this is very new. We get a very unfriendly error. It says promise.withResolvers is not a function. Well, did I have a typo? Or Rob, are you teaching something that's not real? The answer to both of those is no. I've got MDN pulled up here. Promise.withResolvers is a thing, but the baseline is 2024. It says since March of 2024. So if I scroll down here, relative to the making of this video, that's very, very recent, node 22 is what's required. Inside the terminal here, you can see I'm running node 21. So I did that on purpose just to bring home this is not widely supported yet. It may be by the time you're watching it. In order to show you that it does work, I'm going to copy all of this code. I have pasted it into an HTML file. I'm going to put a script tag at the top and at the bottom. Okay, it is available as of Chrome 119. I am running Chrome 125, so it should work. If I open up the browser page here, we got done in the appropriate amount of time. Okay, I'm going to stay in my HTML file from here on out, but just something to note, with resolvers is awesome, but it is, I'll put in here, new or newish, depending on when you're watching. Number 3, we want to stay inside of our run function here. Await plus promise.all plus destructuring is magic. If you don't know how promise.all works, I'll make a comment here. Capital P promise.all takes an array of promises, it returns a promise that resolves when all the promises in the array do. Now that maybe sounds really confusing, but it's really simple. I can't use the syntax here because if I destructure, everything's going to have the name promise, and I'm gonna change the names here. You'll see in just a second. But I've got promise 1, we've got resolve and reject, and we're going to do a set timeout in here. And we will wait for 2 seconds. And when that happens, we will resolve done 1. Okay? So this is a normal promise. We call it P1. Going to define another one called P2. And after 1 second, we will resolve done 2. So P1 will resolve second because it takes longer. P2 will resolve first because it takes only 1 second. Let's say we have some code that runs after P1 and P2 are both resolved. That is exactly what promise.all is for. We do promise.all. We hand it an array of promises, so P1 and P2. Okay? This thing is going to itself be a promise that will resolve when P1 and P2 are done. So normally what you see people, I still see people doing this, we will have a then, and we'll call what we got back data. And I'll put a note here. Data is an array that has the data from the promises, okay? And it matches 1 for 1. So data 0 is going to have the resolve value of P1. Data 1 is going to have the resolve value of P2. Even if P1 finishes second, they all have to finish, so it keeps them in the same order, which is really, really nice. Okay, so just to show you how it works, I will console.log data. As I said, data 0 is going to correspond to P1 resolve. Copy this, drop it down, and then we'll do number 1, and that will be P2. So let's go try the browser, refresh. We get our done from earlier, and then we get done 1 and done 2. Now, promise.all, this is great, okay, but what our goal here is to use await and to destructure. This is the awesome part. We can do const, and this is an array, and we can destructure arrays. So I can do data 1, comma data 2, and because this is a promise, as I said, I can put an await in front of it, and I'm going to drop this down and comment all of that out because we don't need it anymore. Await. Remember, this returns a promise. So wait until these two are done. This is what you'll get back, an array. Grab the first thing, grab the second thing, and I will console.log here, data 1 and data 2. I think this is so much more succinct, so much more straightforward, and we have eliminated another callback with promise.all. We've got one line here instead of another callback and so on. Okay, so that's number 3. Staying inside of run. Number 4, know the difference between a promise being fulfilled and a promise being settled. And I have rejected here as well. Hopping over to the docs, there's a bunch of great methods. All we looked at, all settled, any, race, with resolvers. But you have to know the difference between these two things in order to make use of them. It says a promise is in one of these states. Pending means it hasn't been fulfilled or rejected. Fulfilled means resolve has been called. It has been completed successfully. Rejected means that it failed. Reject has been called. There's another state which is settled. That means it has been rejected or fulfilled. Don't care which, but it's not pending. Okay? So pending means I'm waiting for one of those two things to happen, either fulfillment or a rejection, which means resolve or reject has been called. Settled means I'm not waiting, one of them has happened. If we say it has fulfilled, that means resolve has been called and it is completed successfully. Okay? Number 5 is really simple. Eliminate the brackets on functions. This is one more opportunity to simplify your code. If you've got something like this, we'll define a function, we'll call it async function. And it looks like this, and we're going to return a new promise, open, close, and it has resolve and it has reject inside of it. Okay, we haven't written any code yet, and we're already 2 tabs deep. We've got our function, and then we've got another callback here which is the return value of something else. Okay, what you can do, and this is just an ES6 thing, is you can get rid of that and get rid of that. So we've already eliminated one tab over. This will automatically return a new promise. This is a cleaner way to just make note that the async function is a promise. It's going to return a promise, and so who's ever calling this is going to need to wait for it to resolve, but all the code is at one level. So once again, this gives us the opportunity to keep our code simpler, more straightforward, lots of wins. Okay, so real quick recap. 1, use async and await. It is absolutely going to help you write code in a more sensible way without restraining JavaScript, and it eliminates a callback. Number 2, use with resolvers, remembering that it's new. This will eliminate another callback and will also allow you to use resolve and reject whenever you need to. Number 3, when you call promise.all, use await and destructure. It will save you that many more lines, and it will remove one more callback. Number 4 is awfully simple, but it's incredibly important. Just know that a fulfilled or rejected promise is considered settled. Regardless of which one it is, a fulfilled promise has to be resolved or completed. And number 5, whenever you write a function that's going to return a promise, keep it at one level. This is purely stylistic, and maybe it's my style and you don't like it this way, but again, it eliminates one more tab, another return statement, just something that makes ES6 great. Okay, thanks so much for watching. Continue to write promises, write them better, and I will see you again when new methods are added.